Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the specified domain. But first, let's talk about characteristics of a function. To be a function, you have elements of A, and they have to be matched with the elements in B. I went ahead and filled this out, so your domain is wrong on my page here. Your domain is everything that has an output. So the reason that this was wrong was because 11 has no output, so it is not part of the domain. The same is true for your range. Your range has to have something that it's dependent on. So all of those numbers that are just floating loosely out there are just all the things that it could be, but it's not. So your range is only the ones that are connected to an input. So if you were to write it as a relation, just think of it as points. Dependent, independent. You're used to that. It's Algebra 1 skill, so X and Y. Okay, so if I'm looking at this implied domain here, this is where something erasable is very handy. Also, our Algebra 1 skills here are important because it is assumed that you remember how to graph a line even without your calculator. How about that? Okay, so without your calculator, remember your M is your slope and B is your y-intercept. Remember, you start with your y-intercept, so you start with -3. And then since my slope is positive, it's going to go uphill. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, down 2, back 1, down 2, back 1. Okay, remember I said erasable. Here's why. My domain is from -2 to 3. So this highlighted line here that I created, you would not actually graph that, but I wanted to show you that X is in between -2 and 3. So that means you're taking away everything else except for that part. So these little dots, points that I made up here are not actually going to be part of this graph because the graph is only between -2 and 3. In a later lesson, we're going to talk more about keeping those closed, but basically because this is equal to, they are closed circles. We will talk about open circles for when it's not included. Okay. What about if I needed to complete a table? So in this case, what is -2 squared? Well, that's 4. What's -1 squared? Well, that's 1. 0 squared? Well, that's 0. Little trickier. Square root of 3 squared. Remember, square root and squared are inverses of each other, so they cancel each other out and you're just left with 3. And then last but not least, 2 squared is 4. So your domain here, you are at specific points, -2, -1, 0, square root of 3, and 2 as your X values. So what are your Y values there? What if I wanted you to map them? All you're doing is telling me the output. Square root of 0 is 0. Okay. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 2, yes, that's a decimal if you're using a calculator, but I want the exact answer, therefore I'm going to keep it as square root. Square root of 3 is exactly that, square root of 3. And then square root of 4 is 2. All right, so something I want to show you is Desmos. So all the ways to get there. The app on your phone, DESMOS, desmos.com/graphing. Your Canvas site on other helpful links on our homepage will also take you there. And I'm going to open it up here. I have already typed in the function from the notes. So let me switch back to the notes to show you where I'm at here. I am doing example 5a in Desmos. So 2x minus 3, that's the entire graph. It goes on forever and ever if I zoom out, right? All right. But I am going to put in the domain, and here's how I'm going to do it. You need a brace. That's the little squiggly parenthesis. Then you're going to put your domain in there. So -2 is less than or equal to. If you are on a computer, you can use the less than symbol, which is your comma, and then the equal sign, and it will automatically make that sign for you as a shortcut so that you don't have to go find and click the button. And then notice that it will make that exact spot for me. And it will only give me points from -2, -7, up to 3, 3. It will not do anything else on there. For your assessment, for a future section of homework, you need to know how to do that. So your next your next assignment pertains to how to do this. So make sure that you try it.